Hello, as I said, my name is Anthony Rafferty. Just a show of hands, who had to travel more than 1,000 kilometers to get here today? So quite a few. I had to travel less than 500 meters. Still barely made it in. When Google asked me to do the event, they asked me if I wanted a hotel. I was going to say yes, just get a break from my 3 kids, but I decided not to. My whole family's from this region, as in the Docklands. My 2 grandfathers were dockers. One was what was called a reed. So basically what he would do is he would pick casual labourers who was going to work. He was a very, very popular character, picking all the people to work. My other grandfather had a very specialty in dockers. He used to smuggle in, well not smuggle, avoid the taxman, so he'd be seen swimming down the Liffey with the river here, with his arm full of watches, and he'd be swimming down, and he'd get them up to avoid the paying the taxes. So from a history of importing, I'm going to talk a little bit about exporting. So I'm just going to cover maybe what PayPal is for people who don't know, where we are and where we're going, what the global opportunity is, and some of the stuff I'm going to touch on has been mentioned earlier on, so we're either all right or all wrong, so I'm hoping we're right. And the sort of my top tips that I see people sort of failing to do a lot when they're launching in a new market. So PayPal, it all started in 1998 as a startup in Stanford. 2 developers, Peter Thiel and Max Schleffen, got together and seen that there was a need for a way to electronically and very quickly send payments. So what you observed is a lot of people using Palm Pilots, doing business meetings, but they didn't finish the meeting. So they came up with a piece of software that was able to beam the money from one person or one Palm Pilot to the other. It was launched in 1999. We got Scotty from Star Trek, and he literally beamed $10 million from one PDA to the other. It didn't really take off. It wasn't until 2000 when we began to see PayPal logos coming up all over the eBay platform, and people realized it's a very, very easy way to get paid rather than sending checks. In March 2001, I'm not too sure if you recognize this type of capture box. I'm sure it's been a bit of frustration for some people at some times, but it's been very, very effective. When PayPal was starting off, we had a lot of people creating spoof accounts. So we came up with this way, this systematic way to stop people creating, or stop bots creating accounts on our platform. We very quickly realized that being an online player, we had to become international very, very quickly. So we launched with 2 additional currencies in sterlings and euro. In 2004, we took PayPal off eBay platform, so solely it was an eBay piece of software, and we launched a series of APIs that we gave to merchants to launch. So that was over 10 years ago. Within that 10 years, we went from 0 merchants to hundreds of thousands of merchants around the world. In 2006, we first started to do mobile payments. So I don't know if anyone remembers this type of phone, the old Nokias. Back then, you just had WAP, never mind 4G, so you had wireless application protocols to connect to the internet. It was a very, very slow take-up, but we really seen at the time this was going to explode. 2006, we maybe done 10, 20,000 euros in mobile payments. Last year, we did 27 billion in mobile payments, so it's a lot of people paying for our goods through mobile devices. In 2006, we were launched in 103 countries around the world, so very, very similar to a lot of maybe companies who are now looking to expand. We're constantly looking for new markets, so we're now up to 193 markets around the world where you can accept PayPal. In 2007, we applied for and obtained our banking license. So within Europe, we are now a bank. In fact, we're Europe's largest bank in terms of consumer base. A couple of reasons we've done that. One, it opens up a whole new set of trust with us with consumers that they see us as a bank, and we have to adhere to a lot of bank compliance. And 2, if you want to go into new sort of business models, it really gives us that opportunity to do so. So where are we now? So at the moment, PayPal is the world's largest online payments network that connects developers, merchants, and buyers together very, very quickly. We've about 42 million mobile customers, so that's our new thing that we're really focusing on is mobile. Every new product we build for mobile first. What is the consumer experience like? How is it going to render on an iPhone? How is it going to render on a Samsung? We really look at it very, very, very carefully. We have 142 million active consumers around the world. So I know you'll hear a lot of social media companies say they have 1 billion users. There's a big difference opposed to what you had for your dinner to actually making an online transaction. So we have 142 million customers making them transactions every day, and 25% of them make international payments, meaning it's a cross-border trade. In terms of scale of the system, we process about 8 million payments per day. And to break that down, that's about $6,500 per second. So if you think of it, 6.5, it's a huge amount of money going through the system. In terms of fraud is a big part of us in terms of security. We hold less than 1/3% of fraud. So of all the transactions we do, less than 1/3% is fraudulent activity. Here in Dublin, we have 2 sites, and we have about 1,800 employees. 600 of them employees specialize in preventing fraud. So it's either updating our fraud algorithms and tools, or it's actually trying to crack fraud rings and break them. So obviously, we really do see our own sort of platform as one of the most secure ways to do business, particularly internationally as well. So the global opportunity. So as was alluded to earlier on, we conducted a study with the Nielsen company of 6,000 consumers, and really wanted to look at what were the buying habits. So who's buying from who, how much are they spending, and what do they like to buy. So you will be able to get this report. So if you just Google PayPal modern day spice routes, you will get it, and it is very, very comprehensive. So I'm going to give a very, very high level review it first of all. Before I do, I'll just play a quick video, which will give us an insight to it. If you can play the video, please.
Here's a quick PayPal check-in. The now and soon of cross-border trade revealed in the Modern Spice Routes, a comprehensive study commissioned by PayPal.
Over 90 million shoppers from all over the world shop from merchants that are not in their country.
The industry, worth over $100 billion now, will increase to $300+ billion by 2018, fueled in part by guarantees like PayPal's buyer protection.
More than anything else, trust is the critical factor for a purchase decision from a cross-border shopper.
Visit paypal.com/spiceroutes for a short video, fact sheet, and a 9-page report. For the latest, be sure to follow PayPal in all the right places. That's your PayPal check-in. I'm Mark Kranak, checking out.
So I'm sorry we had no giant robots crushing Denmark. Just to really sort of capitalize what I said, because I know you hear a lot of big numbers and they can come a bit immune to them. So last year, these 6 markets, it had 7 here, but Hong Kong and China were sort of putting as one, transacted 100 billion between them. So it's not a question of when you should start looking at cross borders, it's a question of how soon can you get there quite quickly. That's going to grow to 300 billion in the next 4 years, not 10 years, not 12 years, not 6 years. In 4 years, these 6 markets between them are going to grow 200% in terms of the cross-border trade to over $300 billion. So that's a phenomenal amount of money. And a couple of key drivers that we see that are really helping do this. So when we conducted a survey, 9 out of 10 people said trust was a key factor, that if they're buying for a merchant, particularly if they don't recognize the brand, how do they know they're going to get trust? So again, PayPal is a global brand. They see the PayPal logo. They know they're going to get what something is called buyer protection. What buyer protection is from a consumer point of view, if they order, let's say, a pink pair of shoes and they get a pair of black boots, obviously it's not what they ordered. With PayPal, if the company won't give them the money back, they can contact us and we will chase that money back for them, or else we will give the money back for them. So it gives them a real sense of security that if they do buy from a company, they don't know if they will have some security. It works both ways as well. We offer something called seller protection. So if you're a seller and you sell a good into a country, and the consumer raises a chargeback, and not with PayPal, but with their credit card. So they contact their bank and say, hey, I didn't receive my goods. The credit card company will contact you guys to get the money back. We will cover you if you can show us you have a shipping receipt. We will cover that loss for you. So on both sides of the equation, PayPal is offering this really big piece of trust in that you're insured on both sides where it can happen. What these percentages represent is actually the percentage of customers in this country that are confident or are comfortable in buying cross-border. So if you look at the US, obviously the biggest e-commerce market in the world, 45%, which is over 34 million people, are accustomed to buying cross-border trade. And where they're buying is no coincidence that we heard earlier on. About 49% of them are spending a lot of money in the UK, and the number one item they're buying is clothing. I found that a bit unusual because usually when I go to the US, I have 2 empty suitcases, particularly to pick up a lot of cheap clothing in the sort of retail stores that they have there. But yet, it's one of the number one destinations to go to the UK for clothing. So it could be like companies we heard of earlier on, like ASOS, really, really expanding. In the UK, it's a direct correlation, except it's a bit higher. So in the UK last year, they spent 5.5 billion in the US, and again, 70% of consumers prefer to buy in the US compared to any other region. And the number one item they like to buy was clothing again. You see China here, so obviously their cross-border is a little different. So it's only 26% of consumers we surveyed go cross-border, and there's various reasons for that. One is obviously the size of the market, 26%, as we heard earlier on, of a billion people is a huge, huge number. Two, there's a lot of rules in terms of doing payments in China. So for example, as PayPal, we can't do internal payments, we can only do cross-border payments in China. Only Chinese companies can do internal payments. So you look at Alipay or China Union Card, which is now the biggest credit card issuer in the world. Chinese have spent over 12 billion last year on US sites. 12 billion. So it's an actually phenomenal amount of people spending, and that is constantly growing. Just going to show you some of the routes that we have here. In the Australian market, so we heard a lot of talk about Australia. So as an English-speaking country, it's a very, very quick country to grow in. They're very accustomed to buying into or shipping goods in. They're an island on completely the other side of the world. So from day zero, they have a culture of importing goods. It's what they have to do. They've got about 6 million shoppers. Last year, they spent about $6 billion on goods. The number one thing they do, again, is clothes, but after that, books is a really, really big seller for cross-border, so bringing in books cross-border, and also ticketing items like airline tickets are a very, very big ticket item over there as well. A couple of other regions, so I've seen one of the questions when David went through asking what are the growing regions that you'd recommend. A couple of regions that I'd recommend is Russia. So we launched the Russian ruble last year with PayPal, and for any company who didn't have any logistics worries, so I'm talking about digital goods, so people selling all sorts of digital goods, absolutely exploded in Russia. I mean, the amount of growth they've seen by just launching in Russia. They just add the PayPal button, the consumer can choose rubles, and the payments went through a huge amount. Although Russia, it's only about 50% of people online, but of that 50%, there's 60 million shoppers, online shoppers. That's bigger than the German market itself, and that market is growing at a huge rate. Another two countries that I call it, one will be Argentina. There's a huge appetite in Argentina. It's if you look at the report on that modern day spice routes, we call out Argentina as one of the biggest growing markets. I don't know if you've read the media lately, there's a bit of a challenge in Argentina. They're bringing in taxes. So they're trying to keep the Argentinian currency within Argentina. So if you're shipping cross-border, you actually have to bring your goods, or you have to bring your receipt down to the post office to collect the goods, and you have to pay tax on top of that. But it is an expanding market. The second region we look at is Brazil. Brazil is a huge country, and again, they are very, very comfortable at buying in online. And it's also a big country with really high smartphone penetration. Just to recap on some of the goods of where they buy. So as I said, between all the countries we studied, this is over 91 million consumers that are doing current cross-border trade. Last year, again, it was worth 100 billion. 4 years, it's going to go up to 300 billion. The number one thing is clothing, which kind of makes sense. It's cheaper to ship than a lot of other items. Health and beauty products. So there's a lot of products that you can't get in your own country that you can get somewhere else. So for example, my wife buys this eye cream that gets rid of dark circles. The only place you can get it is Canada. So there's a lot of niche products that people will be willing to spend a lot of money to get. Obviously, personal computers are huge, particularly taking them from China or other countries. I myself would buy a lot of music equipment from Germany. I find it a lot cheaper and a lot quicker to buy it in Germany. Valentine's Day is only 4 days away, so you've still some time if you've forgotten to get something. Jewelry and high-value goods is another key buyer across the globe. In terms of payment types that we have out there, so we conducted a survey and we asked consumers, what do you use to buy? So when you're going to buy to a website, what do you use to buy online? And PayPal came in at the number one choice, ranging from 75% of consumers saying they use PayPal right up to 85%. So it's almost double the nearest competitor. Visa, obviously, it's a global brand. It's well known, it is really in there. MasterCard goes all the way through. As we heard earlier on, the only change is with Germany. So in Germany, it's not a big credit card company, but they do use bank or bank transfers, which they'll touch on now in a moment. Obviously, Amex in Australia and in the US, but not so much in Germany. So again, we asked why did people choose PayPal, and the number one reason was trust and this buyer protection. So you as a merchant, by adding PayPal in there, automatically you're connecting with your buyers that you're offering this kind of protection, that you don't have to worry about it. It's there automatically. So when a consumer gets to your website and they click on, add to basket, they will see a PayPal button. When they click on that PayPal button, depending on what device they're on or what country they're in, will depend how this will render. So for example, this is an example from someone on a desktop in France. When they click on it, it's all localized automatically in France. Regardless or not if your website is, this will be automatic, fully localized in French. But not only that, it will only show French payment cards. So again, although you may say accept euros, how people pay in euros is very, very different. So in France, they have something called the interbank system, and you'll see payment cards like CB. They like to use that a lot. So by adding PayPal, there's no changes. This is the same account that you use in the UK or anywhere else. You're offering all these payment types straight away. This is a Russian account. So again, it's the same website. It's the same PayPal account. They touch on the PayPal button. This time, automatically, they're redirected to a Russian checkout page. And again, all the characters are in Russian, so very, very simple to do. The last one here that I quickly show is in Germany. So if you're going on a mobile device, automatically the payment or the screen will render beautifully for whatever type of mobile device you have. So if it's a tablet, it will stretch out and fit really, really nice. Or if it's a much smaller HTC, it will fit in that as well. And they'll just have one big button. All they need to do is put in their email address and press pay. Consider that to a non-mobile optimized checkout, so where you have to type in your credit card details, you have to get the cert code in the back, your name, your address, your billing detail. They're not going to complete the checkout on a mobile device. So very quickly, with the one PayPal integration, you get all these sort of automatic localization. It fits perfectly to any sort of mobile device, and you have all the different payment types. So in Germany, as we say, this is what ELV looks like on PayPal, this option here. They will just click on that and put in their bank details. In Italy, again, it's a different market again. They like to use what's called prepaid cards. So they like to go down to the post office and top up the prepaid card and use that to shop online. So although Italy, France, and Germany are all Eurozone countries, they all accept euros, how the consumers pay is vastly different. As we touched on in Germany, invoice payments are very, very popular. They like to receive the goods, they like to test them, they like to make sure they work, and when they're happy with them, they will then pay the invoice straight away. So we do have a product called BillSafe in Germany, which caters for this. So again, just to recap, with the one PayPal integration, so the same account, you can accept 26 currencies, be available in 190 markets around the world. You don't have to worry about payment mobile optimization. It's completely done for you. You don't have to worry about language change. It's completely done for you. And you don't have to worry about that local expertise and taking local payment cards. It's automatically done for you straight away. We spoke to merchant chain reaction cycles, and I wanted to sort of get a testimonial and ask them for a couple of top tips. So I asked them 3 questions. I'm just going to read out so I get the verbatims correct. And I asked them 3 questions. The first question I asked them is why did they use PayPal, or what was it about PayPal that they liked? And what they said was, for our international markets in particular, we can see that the offering the choice of paying by PayPal is a big hit with our customers. It could be the confidence in PayPal as an international brand, or simply the convenience of the checkout flows, but if customers like it, we like it. So again, this is a Northern Irish company. It's a family business that started up, and in a matter of a few years, they've really expanded. So when they're going into new regions where their brand is known, they really find PayPal a lever. They add PayPal to their website, and already to have that sense of trust with the customer. Again, as PayPal, as European bank, when we take this merchant on, we have to go through underwriting, and we have to onboarding, we have to make sure we know who this customer is and to legitimate business. And customers know that, so there's an instant trust straight away. We asked them what markets are they looking at now to expand and what new regions. And what they said was, for our international market, it's the last one I read, Australia is a strong market for chain reaction cycles. Culturally, it's a market that's comfortable with ordering online from overseas, and the products that Chain Reaction Cycle sells fit in well with Sports Miles Australia. So this is a company up in Northern Ireland, and now they're shipping all the way right across the world. You'll see a couple of things that we touched on earlier on. Straight away, it's making consumers feel welcome. So you can see American flag and it has dollars in there. So if I'm an American consumer getting there, I know straight away they accept the American dollar and they take our business is going to ship there. They have a very crisp and clean, and up the top you can see where you can change the country flag to whatever currency or whatever country that you want in. So it's making me feel very welcome. And I asked them for a top tip, and it exactly fits in that. Our top tip for exporting would be allow it to happen. So again, as you can see, they really allow it to happen. They get an international visitor, they can say it's welcome. The first step is simply make it possible for someone from a different country to make a purchase on your website. Set up some postage rules and make sure they can pay. So it sounds very obvious and sounds very simple. Although you mightn't necessarily be marketing your website on international waters, or you mightn't be doing any sort of pay-per-click or any advertising campaign in other countries, you still may get international traffic. My wife runs a small children's clothing stores, and we're constantly getting requests in from the most far outreach places. We actually got a request from Iran, Israel, asking if they ship there. And this business was just set up to fit the UK and Irish market. So even without you looking to expand, you will get visitors coming to your website. How are you going to handle that? Are you going to make them feel welcome or unwelcome? Just going to run through a couple of top tips that I see a lot of websites make mistakes. And again, it's just going to echo some of the stuff that David said and Martin said earlier on. Number one, always think multilingual, multi-channel, and multi-currency. So what I mean by that is if you are really serious about going into a new country, get the language right. You can localize or translate it. I know there's a lot of stuff, it's been said again, but really there's a big difference between having a badly translated website. The customer just going to think it's a shard, they're going to think it's a fraudulent website, where if it's fully localized using local language, it makes a big difference. Think multi-channel. So what I mean by multi-channel is using a marketplace like eBay, Amazon. I'll touch on eBay in a little small bit. And multi-channel is, can I access it on multiple devices? Is a mobile optimized? Is a mobile ready? What is the mobile penetration of that market? Do you prefer Android? Do you prefer iPhone? If you're going to go with an app, so what app should I build first? I think last year or this year, there's now 1 billion smartphones in circulation. There's about 2.2 billion internet users. So already, as we heard earlier on, we're at an inflection point. Always think multi-currency. There's not much that if you get to a website and it's good that you want to, you have to quickly redirect to Etsy.com and do some currency conversions to see how much it's going to cost you. Give people the choice. Again, adding PayPal onto your website, you're giving people the option of 26 currencies. And not only that, the type of cards that they like to use. So they like to use their own ELV in Germany, or if it's Ideal in the Netherlands, or how they like to pay. Tip number two, I suppose everyone remembers Cheese Royale scene. And you ask them, they don't have quarter pounders in McDonald's in France. They have the Cheese Royale, and it's very different on how people don't do this. So if I'm buying clothes online, is it going to be in centimeters? Is it going to be in ages? Is it going to be using the imperial system or the metric system? You have to be very clear in it. Again, in my wife's store, when she imports clothes from different countries, a Chinese size 2 to 3 is very different to an American size 2 to 3. So she literally have to measure them. There's no harm in having a size guide. Some websites will do that, or just having a drop down to pick your country and have it in. But it's very key, again, to speak the local language and what's the culture and how they do it. So although in the US and UK they both use the imperial system, you would hear gallons and ounces a lot more in the US, where you'll hear pounds and stones and maybe a bit more in the UK. So to be very wary of that. So you're speaking the language, you're making a connection with them, you're making them feel welcome. We hear this come up again, so free international delivery. So what a lot of the big companies are doing to really prompt people to top up their shopping basket, they're saying, look, if you buy 100 euros worth of stuff, we'll give you free shipping. A lot of big companies doing it, and unfortunately it's getting to a stage where you really have to try and figure out how you can lower your cost of shipping. I know when I talked to a few haulage companies, they really hate trailers going out empty, so if they have a half a trailer, they'd rather fill it up at a discounted price than not. Number two, if you're a smaller company, speak to other smaller companies in your region and try and get a co-op together and try and get some combined buying power to really lower the cost of the shipment to try and compete with these big players. What my wife does, she sells very niche goods, so they're not big branded goods like a Nike or an Adidas, wherever that may be, so people don't know, there's nowhere else to compare the price with. She puts the shipping price in with the actual price itself. So let's say she buys the good for 10 euros, she puts her own profit on it, and then the shipping 3 euros, and puts it on the website for 20 euros with free shipping. Although it's not free shipping, it's psychologically straight away, the consumer thinks they're getting a bargain on free shipping, but we've built that into the price. And again, you need to tie with this because the big competitors are giving free shipping, and you're going to have to look to see what way you can manage that. Testimonials. Always overlooked. If you go to a website and you can see someone from your country with a localized testimonial, it will speak volumes and it'll give it a confidence straight away. Another quick way to do it is using a sort of YouTube video. A good example I'll give is Blendtec. So Blendtec are a company that sell really, really high-powered blenders. So although the videos are English, when he puts an iPad into the blender and it actually blends into smithereens and pieces, people know exactly what he's selling and what it can do. I think one of these videos got over like 16, 70 million hits. So quite a small company. That one video, cross borders, a lot of people can see what they can do. Again, having localized testimonials in your website is also going to help drive your SEO ratings in there. So it's going to give you that unique content and reassure customers. It's a key thing to do, and a lot of bigger sites are beginning to do a lot more. Obviously, when you look at the likes of Amazon and eBay, you can see user reviews and what they put in. And there's actually a lot of companies as well who specialize, whether it be Yelp, who specialize in just giving reviews. Consumers take them reviews very, very, very seriously. So if you're launching a new market, having a few consumers really testimonying, saying, I've used the service, I've used this goods, it's very good, it will speak volumes. Mobile. Mobile, and I'm sure you're going to be sick of hearing mobile all the time. As I said earlier on, there's over 1 billion mobile in circulation. Although the mobile mightn't finish the payment, it could start the transaction. So what I mean by that, you could have someone going into work, they'll be looking on the phone and looking at goods. When they go into work, they'll finish the transaction on the laptop, but it's the mobile that started it. Or vice versa, they might be in work on an iPad or on their desktop, looking at goods or researching them. They'll go down maybe to the city centre and they'll use products like Red Laser where they'll scan the barcodes, they'll see where they can get the cheapest, they'll search the web and maybe complete the transaction there. If you're building a website or you're updating your website, you need to think mobile first, and it's what you have to do. In terms of people asking, should I build an app or should I build a mobile optimized site? I think a mobile optimized site is enough depending on what your business is. The reason being the average smartphone user has about 26 to 30 apps. They only use the same few regularly. So unless you have a really appealing reason to integrate with the hardware, there's no real necessary need to do an actual mobile app. The other thing that you have to do if you do a mobile app, you'll have to change your integrations and payments as well. So PayPal's web integrations, let's call it web, on desktop, will render on a mobile, no problem. But if you're doing an app integration, you'll have to do a separate payment integration, and that's right across a lot of other payment companies as well. So I'd hold off in investing in an app straight away. We hear this a few times as well, so translation doesn't equate to localization. So what a jumper is here in sort of Ireland and the UK completely means something else in the US. Do we have any American visitors over? No? Yes? If you're an American visitor over here, if you go into shop, please don't ask for a fanny pack. You may get a slap in the face. It means completely something else over here. We would call that a bum bag. And it's just key to show two countries that speak English, the difference that they have in how they speak it and what they use, and you have to be very, very careful of that as well. So this sort of came up a couple of times as well. The quickest and cheapest way to launch into a new market is through a marketplace. So we heard about eBay and Amazon. So eBay has fully localized in 22 sites around the globe. Some of the nearest competitors around 11. So what this means you can do is if you have a lot of stock that you really want to test, so for example, you're in the clothing company again, it seems a bit of a topic. It's winter at the moment in Europe, but in Australia it's summer season. So if you have a lot of overstock you want to get rid of, eBay Marketplace is a great way for you to test to see how that stock goes. It helps build up your brand and it helps really identify is there an appetite for that market. The other thing that's going to help you do is get that price point right. So for example, if you look at the Australian dollar from 2011 right up to now, it's been a big influx and a big change. So if you don't get that pricing point right, you could be putting yourself in a loss. So with eBay, again, you're getting this technology. So see eBay more or less as a technology partner rather than an actual platform. So eBay doesn't actually sell anything. We don't sell any goods. We don't have any stock or inventory. We're not competing. 75% of all eBay listings are brand new and they're buy it now. So they're not the bidding. So the bidding model is beginning to weigh down. And we're partnering with a lot of big companies. The reason being, a lot of these bigger companies, it's very, very hard for them to move quite quickly and build a mobile site and build an actual marketplace. They'll partner with us or partner with eBay, and very, very quickly they have a gateway into that country. The other thing that we'll say about eBay, all the technologies are mobile ready. So over the Christmas, we've done a huge amount of advertising campaign on the TV straight at the ad break. So we knew straight away the minute the ad breaks would come on, after the TV program, you'd see an ad for eBay, and we knew people were straight away on their tablets doing their Christmas shopping. And again, simply by you adding these products to eBay, you get this technology straight away in there. There is obviously other local competitors around there, and I suppose it depends what market you're going to go in. I obviously have enough fiction and I know eBay a lot more, but there is a lot of other marketplaces out there, and I couldn't recommend strongly enough really testing these to go out. If you do see a market in there, go straight away in with a localized website and go for it. Don't hold back. Just to recap again, the market's going to go from 100 billion to 300 billion, and we've seen all these other merchants who are doing it right here and right now, so you really need to move very, very quickly if expansion is where you want to go. Just to wrap up, I suppose, with just to crystallize some of the stuff I touched on. First thing is local to global. So I suppose even looking at companies like Google and PayPal, they were just initially local companies and very, very quickly realized the only way to expand and really become a global player is to get that local expertise and expand very, very, very quickly. Again, looking at our own history within PayPal in 1999 or 98, it was just in the Bay Area in San Francisco. Within 4 years, we were available in over 103 countries. I know we heard a few words about ASOS. I read ASOS 3 or 4 years ago, 3% of their total revenues were international. That's now 40%. So in the space of 3 or 4 years, they've gone from 3% revenue international right up to 40%. That is a huge change of shift for a company like that. Use international products. So what I mean by that is, obviously I spoke about PayPal, and that one integration gives you, 26 currencies, access to 190 markets. Also, how you're going to build your website. So if you're going to use a platform, or are you going to custom build? So do I have my colleagues from EKM PowerShop? Nope. Yeah, they're in there. So they have a platform that plumbs into eBay and plumbs into quite a few other platforms, and has a lot of language capabilities as well. So it's a very cheap, cost-effective way to launch a website, a local website, is using one of these channel partners that you can go in. We heard this before. I won't go into too much. Know your customers. Again, how they like to pay, what payment funds they like to use, but not only that, what is the price point they're willing to pay? And if you map that again, looking at your marketplace. There's a great tool that you can use called TerraPeak, so that's www.terrapeak.com. And basically what I don't know how they did it, but they have access to Amazon and eBay data, so they have direct access to both that data. There's a free trial on it for a month, so you can search, let's say, for example, red shoes in a particular region. It will give how many people search for it, how many people pay for it, what's the average price point. So if you go to terrapeak.com, you can try it for free, and again, you can really leverage all the information on Amazon, on eBay. Seize the opportunity. The opportunity is already here. In the next 4 years, just to recap again, it's going to go from 100 billion to 300 billion in 4 short years. Consumers have a real appetite to buy goods inwards. Again, when we done the survey, 2 reasons came up why they buy international, and this won't shock you. Number 1 was value for money, so they can buy goods somewhere else cheaper, they can get at home. And the second reason being is goods they can't get at home, and you have to try and figure out where do you fit in that sphere. So you're going in with an actual low-range product very, very cheaply, or do you have a niche good that can't be attained in that market? So we heard a few examples earlier on around the cashmere jumpers coming in at £188, Martin, was it? Which is a phenomenal amount of money to go in when the competitors are doing it for £60 locally. That's just about me done. A lot of stuff has been touched on before, and I suppose if you have 3 or 4 different companies giving the same message, there has to be some essence of truth behind that. Me and my team will be here. We have a stall out the back. I have some engineers with me and some account managers. So if you have some very specific questions around your company or around your business model, we'll be very, very happy to talk to you. We do have a team here in Dublin of account managers and engineers. When we onboard a new merchant, we will spend a few hours getting to know your business and your business model and recommend the payment options that's going to suit you. We have some of that team here, so if you're really looking to accept global payments, do have a chat with the guys out back. We have some great experts which will really give you some more detailed advice. This is all very high-level stuff, but we can give you very much specific and niche feedback based on what market you're going to go in. I'd really like to thank you for your time and thank you for your ears. Please enjoy our city, Dublin, today. If you do see someone swimming down the Liffey with one arm, it's just my grandfather smuggling some stuff in, so don't panic. It's been a pleasure talking today, and again, I will be here to talk some more. Thank you.